Hi HipKit friends, I'm excited to be here with you today to share a new layout that I made featuring one of the July cut files. So this is the July stripe circle background cut file, and it is available to subscribers, and then also you can purchase the cut file bundle for July in the HipKit shop. So if you're not a subscriber but would like to have some of the cut files, you can do that as well. So I am using this cut file in a little bit different way than normal. I'm not just putting it on the background or backing it and using it that way. So I am actually going to be using it as a stencil. So I cut it on just a sturdy cardstock, just a regular white sturdy cardstock. And then I am using the Lindy's Magical Powders from the July color kit to color the background. So this first color that I'm using is Umbrella Drink Pink, and I put it in my little paint tray, and it comes in powder form. So one little trick that I use when I'm using Lindy's Magical Powders so that the powders don't go everywhere, when you spray water, I put water in the paint tray first. So in the three little compartments that I knew I was going to use, I put water, and then I use one of my little spoons to drop some of the magical powder in the water, and then I mix it, and that is helpful. So here, sometimes I use it just directly on a background or on the medium or on the paper that I'm using, but here I used an ink blending tool to help me control where the medium went a little bit more. So that actually worked out really well because it helped me keep the color where I wanted it, and it helped the color not to bleed underneath the stencil or the cut file. I didn't want a whole lot of bleed. Sometimes I want bleeding and sometimes I will just use a paintbrush and paint it on, but I really wanted it to stick pretty close to the shapes because I loved those striped circles. And so I used the ink blending tool to help control where that color went. And then I took it off. And you did see I taped it down so that it wouldn't move around while I was using it. So I just used washi tape to tape it down while I was using the ink blending tool. And then I pulled it up, and I am splattering some of that leftover color onto the background because it was a little too neat and I like it to look a little messy. So I went ahead and did that, and then sat it off to dry. And then I'm also going to be using letters from the Taylor Alphabet Plate metal die, and I love this die. I love the letters that it creates, and so I actually cut it 3 times, and I cut it in using the cardstock kit from July. So I cut it in 3 different colors and put those letters off to the side while I finish getting the rest of the layout ready for those letters. So here what I did, I went ahead and cut off the edges. The white edges that were around kind of the rim, I just trimmed those off so that I could frame that and put it on another piece of colored cardstock. And then here I am using cards from the Project Life kit, the July Project Life kit, to back my photos. And I pulled out actually a bunch of different colors, but I'm using the pink patterned paper or card from from the Project Life kit. So I pulled out a pink, an orange, and a yellow, and a green. I'm going to be using all 4 of those colors to back this photo. So I actually have 2 photos, sorry. So I put the photos side by side and then glued them down to the first piece of paper, distressed the edges, then I glued that down or adhered that down to the next color, the orange, and distressed those edges. And then now I went ahead and cut the yellow to size and the green to size, and I'm going to distress those edges, adhere those together, and then put a piece of craft foam in between because I wanted the photo to stand up just a little bit. So I went ahead and put the yellow and green together, and then craft foam is going to go in between those 2 different colors of patterns. So I've got the pink and the orange, then craft foam, then the yellow and the green. And that's just cheap craft foam from my local craft store. So I have my photo ready now, kind of deciding where I want to put it, if it's going to be straight or in an angle. before I do that, I am going to go ahead and distress the edges of my cardstock here. And I did use a white mixed media cardstock for that background. That's why it's so flat and it's not wrinkling or curling or anything. I'll go ahead and glue that down. And then I considered putting the letters just directly on the background, but they were kind of hard to read. So I end up using this navy colorful striped. When you see it up close, it's super colorful from the Project Life kit. And I went ahead and glued down my letters on that. And I did double stack the letters and kind of offset the second layer. So that word happiness, I used all 3 of the colors that I had cut. And I just kind of staggered the colors and the patterns. And I offset a second layer so that you get lots of color there. And then I trimmed it very close to around to the letters and then distressed the edges, all 4 edges of that. So now I am pulling out some chipboard phrases. This is from the July embellishment kit. So that chipboard piece says dreaming of thee, and then the piece that I'm going down right now says summer. So dreaming of the summer, happiness and sunshine is going to be that. It's going to be that title. And these are 2 photos of my babies playing golf in Jamaica. So I'm getting close to the end of my scrapbooking my Jamaica trip. Almost through it. Almost done. But I thought this was perfect for the colors in the photo and then the happiness that we felt while we were there. Sorry, my hat. I was wearing a hat when I was making this one, so you keep seeing my hat in the bottom. Sorry about that. I'm kind of looking over to try to make sure I have everything straight. So the and sign is also from that Taylor alphabet plate, the metal die. And I actually glued 3 of those together. So there's 3 colors that make up the and sign. And then the sunshine, good times chipboard piece is from the embellishment kit. There's a whole set of fantastic chipboard in the embellishment kit. So that's what that is from. And then these flowers that I pulled out and the vellum pieces that I'm pulling out right now. The super colorful vellum leaves that I'm going to be using and kind of vegetation. These are all from the July embellishment kit. The flowers, you'll notice some of the flowers were already color all the way to the edge, but most of them had a white border. So I did go and fussy cut around those, cut all those white borders off so that I can build my clusters of flowers. And I love the vellum, those colorful vellum leaves and plants. It made it look super tropical. So I did put the flowers down on lots of different layers of craft foam because I did want everything to kind of look like it's growing out of the page. So everything, I did fold up all of the edges of the leaves and the vegetation and all of the petals on the flowers and all of those things. So, and I made sure and snipped in between each of the petals of the flowers so that I could bend up all of those flower petals on each individual flower. I love how that looks. And I did skip ahead so that you don't have to watch me for hours building those clusters of flowers. But there's kind of the final look. And I love how those vellum pieces seriously added to the tropical feel of the layout. I love that. And I am going to take one of the puffy stickers also from the July embellishment kit. Those puffy stickers are super fun. I have one, it's a palm tree, but it kind of just looks like another little piece of vegetation when it's stuck into that cluster. Did one more leaf here. And then I pulled out some sequins from my stash. Some of these sequins are from past hip kits, and then some were just from that I just had. And so I pulled out the sequins in coordinating colors, and I'm using the sequins as the centers of the flowers. And then I also am going to be using them to embellish around the clusters in little groups, little sets of 3 or 5 or whatever. So I'm using those to kind of add a little bit more color and a little more sparkle there. And I'm not sewing these on this time. I'm just gluing them down, and then I will go back off camera with some pops of color and add little dots to the centers of each of those sequins. But first I'm going to add some hand stitching, just 3 little X's. So I poked 4 holes on the white sections and then 4 holes on the green section. And then I stitched 3 X's in 3 different colors. So I used the orangish color, the pink color, and the turquoise color. And I love the sparkle, the Lindy's Magicals. There's definitely some shimmer on that background. And so here you can see it close up. This was after I added some pops of color as well on the background, but hopefully you can see all of that shimmer and the sequins and the stitching. So I hope you've enjoyed that process. If you have any questions, pop them down below. I will be sure and answer them. And the kits are available on the Hip Kit website. I have a link below for that as well. And plenty of information on the website about ordering. If you become a subscriber, you do get discounts for your kits. So that's definitely an incentive to become a monthly subscriber to the kits and get all of these beautiful things so that you can create too. Hope you guys have an awesome day. See you in the next one. Bye.